Magic Conj, will I ever get to meet Tom Kenny?
Maybe someday.
Oh, so you're saying there's a chance. Okay. Should I tell fans of the show how they can support us?
Yes.
Goofy Goobers, supporting the show is shockingly easier than catching a blue jellyfish. Right from our anchor page, anchor.fm/SpongePod, you can find links to all of our social media and a support button if you happen to have a few extra clams. Also follow us on twitch.tv/SpongeBobPodcast, where it's not only the official home to our sister show, Video Bob Game Pants, it's also where I stream live drawings of various Nickelodeon characters and host the opportunity for commissions and giveaways. Lastly, the official merchandise store is now open at redbubble.com/people/SpongePod, where various designs will be uploaded inspired by our show, including our official logo, which is now available on a multitude of products like t-shirts, stickers, duvet covers, and even a shower curtain. This is a podcast by a fan, for fans, and will always be fan-driven. Any way you see fit on supporting our show is much appreciated. Thank you, and enjoy. Ahoy, mateys, and welcome to another episode of I'm Ready, a SpongeBob SquareCast. My name is Captain Eric, and we are continuing our sail through the first season of SpongeBob SquarePants. We are watching one of my favorite episodes today. One of my favorite episodes, Rock Bottom. It is the second part of the 17th episode of SpongeBob SquarePants. And really, I mean, the amount of stuff that's thrown at you in this episode, from seeing Glove World for the first time to then going to Rock Bottom. I mean, we're shown these two locales that, although in the show, I think they've used Glove World a lot more since its first showing, we haven't seen too much more of Rock Bottom. And, even though there's that scene in the SpongeBob movie in the trench, which, like Rock Bottom, has a lot of unique characters and creatures among it, it was never actually solely said the town of Rock Bottom. That's why one of my favorite levels in the SpongeBob SquarePants game, Battle for Bikini Bottom, is the Rock Bottom level. The fact that they made an entire level around that, and of course the Easter egg where if you go up to the vending machine near the bus stop, the bus will come up and leave without you. Like, the first time you encounter that, I was laughing. I had to pause the game because I was laughing so hard because of that kind of Easter egg. I was really impressed by that, and the fact that they crafted this whole level around just one episode of the show where SpongeBob really stays in one area. He stays right close to the exit of Rock Bottom, and he's right near the bus stop and the bathrooms. That's about it. There's one vending machine there, and he doesn't really go past that. And in the game, they actually start you off at the bus stop. There's the bathrooms, there's the actual bus station, and then boom, the rest of the level is completely made up on their own. So we're going to really get right into this episode. I don't have any interview today, no one to talk to. I wanted, being that this is one of my favorite episodes, and of course a popular one, I wanted to have somebody with me during this episode. But when it kind of came time where it just wasn't going to be able to happen, I thought, you know what? SpongeBob is stranded in Rock Bottom, and I should be stranded as well. And that is just the easiest way I could explain why this needs to happen, other than, life gets in the way, scheduling is in the way. I also was asked recently about just our update schedule. It's just been super tough in the last couple weeks, juggling work and the podcast. So the day that I usually try to upload is on Tuesdays. Sometimes I can hit Wednesdays, and then sometimes, like today, it can hit very late Thursday because, like I said, just life, that man, does life get in the way the older you get. And we're a week away from my birthday, October 28th. And it was weird. I was looking up, I was getting my information ready for this episode, and I think the first season was released on October 28th, 2003. I think I saw that date and I was like, wow, I know I got that as a birthday or Christmas gift, but man, that came out right on my birthday. That was pretty crazy. So if you want to watch along, I am, of course, going to start the episode halfway through. We're not going to watch the intro just for the second part of this episode. But here we have Rock Bottom. When I say start, you can start it right at the title card. I'm just waiting for it to all right, start it. All right, so we got Rock Bottom here. Another very creepy intro. Really in line with Squidward the Unfriendly Ghost. Just where it kind of starts off like, hey, you're going to be watching a creepier episode than usual. And here we have Glove World. I loved Glove World so much for so long until they started using Glove World a little bit more. And of course, I think it's fine that they used amusement park setting in SpongeBob, but the fact that the creators didn't touch it for so long, Steven Hillenburg didn't really use Glove World past this episode, kind of added to the allure of it. I don't know if I'm the only fan out there who feels like that, but there was something that I loved about the idea of Glove World, and the fact that SpongeBob and Patrick on this ride here have to show off all of the stuff they got, and just the things they're pulling out are just so funny, and that they're so into this. That's what just made it funny to me for so long. I got a glove for my glove action figure. Like I can't. The fact that this exists, that it's an idea, is so funny. And of course it's fine. It's just the fact that when he puts it on his nose. Oh, my favorite scene in this whole episode. And if anybody's following, if anyone's just paying attention to like my favorite scenes in this movie, it's very like these little moments that seem to just only amuse me and not anyone else. But this episode was actually written by Mr. Lawrence. I forgot to go over that stuff. Look at that. We can do that here. This first aired on March 15th in the year 2000. Was written by Paul Tibbett, Ennio Torreson Jr., and Dave Fain. Storyboarded by Paul and Ennio, and the animation was done by Tom Yasumi, and of course the creative direction was Derek Dryman. It was also stated, I was looking into this, and there was no citation, but Mr. Lawrence was definitely a part of the creative team at this point. We've seen his name pop up. But it was written on the SpongeBob, one of the SpongeBob Wikipedias, that the idea for this episode came from an experience he had where, as a kid, the bus driver, he forgot to get off at his stop, and him and his friend got off did not get off, and the bus driver had to go through the entire route before bringing them back to their original bus stop, and that it was super like it scared them, I guess. Like it freaked them out so much that this is where the idea of this episode came from. I don't know if that's true. I've never heard that story, but like that could have been one of those things where it was a jumping off point, just sitting in a room mentioning like, hey, I was once I had to stay on the bus because it forgot my spot, my stop, and being forced to stay in the bus. Maybe he just brought that up, and then it was just springboarded into just an entire episode about SpongeBob getting off at the wrong bus stop. And who knows the amount of interviews out there. This could be just like one interview where this story was mentioned and there's no citation. So if that's wrong, I apologize. But here we have all these creatures coming out of these different bathrooms. I mean, it's a joke you wouldn't be able to tell now in 2020, because I'm sitting here thinking like you should just walk into one. Like who's gonna tell you you're wrong? But yeah, it's a weird joke at the bathrooms. But anyway, we saw that one-eyed Cyclops fish, who is the same fish who not only works at the bus station, but is also the one who steals SpongeBob's candy bar from the vending machine. I always thought that was funny because when you'd watch it in repeat airings, you're not really thinking about how many times you actually see that one-eyed fish, and he steals the kelp nougat crunch from the candy bar from the vending machine there. So here we have Grandpa SquarePants being mentioned. It's not technically his first time being seen. His first time being seen was in the Sponge Who Could Fly in a thought bubble. But that was SpongeBob basically imitating him. I guess it's a good piece of advice. I mean, if my grandfather had told me not to chase a bus up a 90-degree angle, I would believe him. That's sound advice. I'll probably, if I have grandkids one day, I'll probably tell them that without showing them SpongeBob. Like, I'll let their parents decide what they show them, but I'll just quote and bring up stories of movies and TV shows that they don't know about, so that when they get older and they might discover those things, and it just, I would love to blow their mind, like, after I'm gone. Like 30 years go by and they just somehow stumble upon this rock bottom episode of SpongeBob and hear that quote, and he's like, my grandson or granddaughter is like, wait a minute, My grandfather used to told me not to chase a bus up a 90-degree angle. He got this? What? Yeah, that's my plan. But here we have SpongeBob stuck at the bus stop, and let me just say, I don't know. I still think it's malicious what the bus driver is doing. He seems, I mean, obviously, especially with the vending machine, glove candy dispenser. Did he expect the candy to not be glove flavored? Because if I was at Glove World and bought a glove candy dispenser, I'd assume the glove candy was latex tasting. Kelp nougat crunch. But yeah, the bus driver seems to really maliciously attack SpongeBob in this episode. I mean, think about how upset you'd be if you had a bus driver purposely come to get you when you weren't there. And it becomes obvious a few times. Like, there's some situations like that where the bus driver just came up and clearly they're lazy. They don't want to stop. They want to get their shift done. They want to go through all their bus stops, the route they have to do, even though I think if you're on a route, you just keep following that route until your shift is up. But yeah, maybe they're driving up to the bus stop. They see no one's there. They stop for the 1 millisecond they have to, and then they keep going. So there's some times where I cannot blame them, other than being a bad employee anyway. But there are serious times where the bus driver is clearly, like right here, not wanting to pick up SpongeBob. And it's a great visual gag, but man, you're really sympathizing with SpongeBob with this one. I can't imagine what I would do if I was in a situation like this. It would have to be absurd for a bus to be treating like this. And then this fish just comes over and grabs the candy bar. That's malicious intent. That guy knew the candy bar was still in there and just ran up and grabbed it. It's one thing if you walk up to a vending machine and you just happen to notice that there's something in there. But there's no way you're running up, pulling something out, and running away unless you know that somebody is on their way to pick that up or left it there. Maybe that's what he thought, to be fair. But now here's SpongeBob actually trying. That's the one that really, even as a kid watching this for the first time, I'm like, this bus driver is definitely messing with SpongeBob. The fact that he turned into a bench, stopped, and then drove away the second he saw somebody. So here we have all the different rock bottom creatures here. They're based on a lot of deep sea creatures. And it's honestly, I love the ocean. I'm fascinated by it. My fascination started with this show and got stronger with movies like Finding Nemo, and even movies like Aquaman. I've just always enjoyed underwater. But there's a part where I don't go. And yeah, rock bottom is pretty close. Like, the deeper you get, the creepier fish you will find. So all these creatures are right up there with creepy fish you can imagine, but they all seem pretty nice other than this one-eyed guy who just seemingly wants to steal SpongeBob's candy bar and then give him a rough time at the window. And of course, at least this character comes off as someone who is speaking with raspberries in the middle of their talking. So that would sound like this. Now, given the other character we meet at the end, what I'm going to guess is that the raspberries in between words and the simple disrespect, because this guy is just flat out disrespectful to SpongeBob, stealing his candy bar, leaving him, as far as I know, locking him into the bus station, even though SpongeBob gets out. But he just closes the lights, shuts everything off, and leaves. Oh, there's a door open. But all this disrespect in the way he was speaking is just making me think that that is just common. That is the speech of rock bottom, and that is the common treatment you'll get going to rock bottom. Like, it's common down there. It's not weird for us. We're offended by that, and I think down there that's what people do. The fish do. But then we meet this other fish who helps SpongeBob at the end. SpongeBob assumes I got to speak to him with the raspberries in between, and we hear him raspberrying here, but we get that last minute joke that even after SpongeBob speaks to him like he would any other rock bottom fish, This guy just doesn't raspberry when speaking. So I'm guessing that this dude definitely knows English, or at least whatever language, if you're speaking, he understands it specifically, but also can speak rock bottom, which is the raspberries. But I wonder what the raspberries mean on their own without speaking words. So for someone to just raspberry and say nothing else, I wonder what that means down there. I wonder if that's just like a hey, or just to get somebody's attention, and that's why he was doing it to SpongeBob, to get his attention. But then when he walks up to him, he does it too. He just walks up and goes, so it might just be a hey. So I don't know. You're welcome. So SpongeBob gets saved by the glove balloon that nice rock bottom creature got to him. We don't really know that guy's name, but he's a wonderful dude. I mean, sometimes you can trust a stranger, absolutely stranger danger, but sometimes you'll find a helpful person out there. And here's Patrick coming back on the bus, and that is the episode. That is Rock Bottom. It really sits up there as one of my favorite episodes, I think, of all time. I think it might hit my top 10 of all time. It's super quotable. It's super fun. You can sympathize with SpongeBob throughout the whole experience, and even by the end, just be happy that he's out of that situation. It's not like he's home. He still has to get home. There's still another adventure there, but we're satisfied that he's out of this increasingly weird and creepy situation of being stuck at the bus station at rock bottom. Patrick being a good friend throughout the whole thing, even though he let the bus go, but that could have been out of his control. The bus driver is off his rocker and certainly messing with SpongeBob by the end of that. And then also we have some pretty rude, I should be fair though, there was only 2 rude rock bottom creatures. The one-eyed fish stealing SpongeBob's candy bar, and then we also have that other one that was in line who spit out an egg on top of SpongeBob's head. Like, that was pretty rude too, and that's what made me think that maybe just what we deem as rude is completely acceptable down there in rock bottom. They seem to have a different language and just a different style to them, even though it's some of it's based on what we'd expect in Bikini Bottom. But what more is to say about Rock Bottom? It's simply one of those. It's certainly season 1. It's one of the top 10 best episodes of season 1. It's an episode I would show people who would say that they're not a fan of SpongeBob, because it's something that even if you dislike SpongeBob, you can find something about this episode you'd like. I would put this episode up to the most cynical SpongeBob fan, and I think they would be lying if they said that they couldn't find anything about this episode that they thoroughly enjoyed. It's just a flat out enjoyable episode. But that's it for the podcast. Thank you for joining me this week. And thank you for the year thus far. We're coming up to almost 2 years. This is crazy. Thank you for everything. We're coming up on season 2 also. Season 1 is winding down, and I'm still open to suggestions for how to tackle season 2 and forward. So if you're a constant listener of the podcast and you have any ideas or changes or things you would like to see, message me. Find me on social media. Find me on Instagram. Find me on Facebook, and send a message. Make a YouTube comment. Send me a YouTube message, however you'd like to see fit. Find me on Twitter. This is all open. This is open to fan changes. I'm completely, there is nothing I'm locked down to. I'd like to change some things up. I want every season to have its own feel. So I'll probably change the artwork for season 2 or something like that. Definitely not our main logo, but we're going to continue moving forward with this show. And as I say in the beginning, it's fan made and it's fan driven. So if you're a fan of this show, I want your voice to be heard. Don't forget to vote November 3rd. Everybody's telling you that. If you're over 18, just do it. It actually matters. Every single vote matters. You don't ever say that yours doesn't. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.